This conference will now be recorded.
Back on the internet to look to see what time it was. That's why I checked you to see what time it was.
Greg said he was gonna just have to call in.
Yep, we got a quorum. We're good. Brett and Greg might not make it, so we'll grab these agendas and then. Anyone online, thank you for your patience. We had a few technical difficulties. We should be starting in a couple minutes here. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but remember that there's microphones.
Yeah. Well, so.
It's like you can be doing. It's like when people are, you know what I mean, and like you could.
Well, that's why when I was gone and I wrote Greg's microphone stuff.
That was quick.
Halftime.
Where does?
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, okay.
Okay, everybody. We're going to go ahead and open up this special session of the City of Port Orford Common Council, Tuesday, January 30th, 2024 at 5:06. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance real quick. You guys have to be louder. I'll sound really good. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow, that's one of our better ones.
It's me. I go too fast. I just realized that All right. So today's main purpose is, one of the main purposes is to have this public hearing for a CDBG grant that the city, Community Development Block Grant application, and part of that process is the public hearing. So I am going to go ahead and read this statement, and then I'll have Ann fill us in a little bit more. Or did you want to? 6 and 1/2 dozen the other, right? So we're going to open up this hearing. And this public hearing is the City of Port Orford is eligible to apply for a 2024 Community Development Block Grant from the Business Oregon Community Development Block Grant Funds coming from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The grants can be used for public facilities and housing improvements, primarily for persons with low and moderate incomes. Approximately $11 million will be awarded to Oregon non-metropolitan cities and counties in 2024. The maximum grant that a city or county can receive is $2.5 million for a public works project. The City of Port Orford is preparing an application for a 2024 Community Block Grant Development from Business Oregon to complete design, engineering, and environmental review for a raw water tank upgrade. This project is identified in the City of Port Orford Water Master Plan published in 2014. It is estimated the purpose of the project will benefit at least 1,200 persons, of which 56.15% will be low or moderate income. A public hearing will be held at the City of Port Orford Council at 5:07 on Tuesday, January 30th, 2024 at Port Orford City Hall, 555 West 20th Street, Port Orford, Oregon, 97465. The purpose of this hearing is for the City Council to obtain citizen views and to respond to questions and comments about community development and housing needs, especially the needs of low and moderate income persons, as well as other needs in the community that might be assisted with the Community Development Block Grant Project and the proposed project. Written comments are also welcome and must be received by 5 o'clock on January 24th, 2024 at Port Orford City Hall, 555 West 20th Street, Port Orford, Oregon, 97465. Both oral and written comments will be considered by the City Council in deciding whether to apply. The location of the hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. Please contact city staff at 541-332-3681 if you will need any special accommodation to attend or participate in the meeting. More information about Oregon Community Development Block Grants, the proposed project, and records about the City of Port Orford's past use of Community Development Block Grant funds are available for public review at 555 West 20th Street, Port Orford, Oregon, 97465. During regular office hours, advance notice is requested. If special accommodation is needed, please notify city staff at 541-332-3681 so that the appropriate assistance can be provided. Permanent involuntary displacement of persons or businesses is not anticipated as a result of the proposed project. If displacement becomes necessary, alternatives will be examined to minimize displacement and provide required reasonable efforts to those displaced. Any low and moderate income housing that is demolished or converted to another use will be replaced. Published January 17th, 2024 in the Port Orford News, Curry County, Oregon. Did we receive any written comment?
None that I am aware of.
Okay. Is there anyone in the public that would like to comment or? Uh-oh. Did we just lose the public?
No, sign, it's up there. Just
Oh, okay, good. Is there,
know the issue, I can fix
but
it.
okay, is there anyone online that would like to comment?
This is Jen Bailey.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out it's hard to comment when we don't know anything about it yet. That's all.
This was posted on the 17th, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's a very fast moving process and this community block grant came up soon. And so just the timeline and the requirements, we had to get it in as fast as possible. Ann, did you want to add anything?
Well, I'll just say that the opportunity for this block grant came up, and this proposal for adding a raw water storage tank has been something that those of us that have been working on the water issue have identified as a really high priority to help give our city some more water security. It was identified as a project in the Water Master Plan in 2024. It never, like many of those projects, it never was implemented. This funding source came up as kind of like maybe something that could really help us to do that project. So anyway, that's why we're moving forward with it. The Community Development Block Grants, CD, yeah, it's hard to get the acronym right, are for communities like ours that can be considered to have a lot of low and middle income people. They are for things like, we're using one of them for the community building. So there's kind of a little category for that. There's categories for housing projects, and then there's categories for infrastructure. So, and you can have two out at one time. So I think what we're doing right now makes sense strategically. We can't really move forward on housing until we fix our water. This is a really important project to help fix our water. So anyway, I think it makes good sense.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows the benefit of this proposed project, if we have more raw water storage, then we won't be confined in our pumping times and the city will have way less overtime. And in the summertime, when the water is low, we'll have the water there to pump that we need in the summertime. And then when we have the turbidity issues like we've had the last few weeks, we'll have a reserve of water. So it's a really good step in the process to give us a little bit of breathing room and relieve staff and let everyone sleep a little bit more at night. So it kind of came out when we were refining the brick grant we're working on. This opportunity came forward, and like Ann said, it's something that was in the master plan and that we have been discussing. So with the nature of this funding opportunity, that was the best piece of the puzzle to fit into that, in our opinion, and that's why it's before you today. So is there anyone else online with public comment? Okay, hearing none, we will close this hearing at 5:11.
Close the hearing.
At 5:14.
5:14. Okay,
We were actually going to hear a little bit more about it. I'm sorry. I do want to clarify that my comment was about not having more information in the agenda. Not that I don't support this. This sounds great.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, So the hearing is closed. We don't need any action out of that.
No, I think we
It's
just need to have minutes because we're,
Right, to show the public hearing, and then when we get to the next phase of signature, it'll come back on and we'll authorize it. But this is a check off the list in that process and moving forward. And I'm so excited about this one. This is like cool, a mechanical fix to a huge problem. I love those.
This is gonna actually help you when we do get our dredging permit, we'll have some extra water on hand.
yes.
It'll
You
help.
get this done first, yeah.
For every, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, for even worst case scenario, any water storage is good water storage.
Kind of like the one, it's almost like this, key little project. If we could just do this one and the dredging project, a few key things. But
It's the only one that will give us a little wiggle room to look for other opportunity, or give us a little breathing room. I don't know.
And the other thing just to say about this process, that seems a little bit cumbersome or weird is that community development block grants have a lot of strange little things that we have to do, policies we have to follow, resolutions we're going to have to make, hearings we're going to have to do, and some of them don't totally make sense because they might be for like a different slate what we're doing. But so that's part of just to understand. We're going to probably have a number of those coming up with the community building as well.
When's the date? What's the timing on this? Like, when would we know something?
I think we apply, the deadline for applying is, I forget if it's, I'm getting them all mixed up now. I think it's in April, and then we
Mhm.
find out in the summer. And then, like, for example, this is similar to the community block grant. So we found out we got that actually, I think maybe it was last fall. And then we just signed the contract for that in January. So I think we'll be kind of 1 year behind on this project. And then it's a 2-year project, 1 year of planning and 1 year of construction. Or actually, yeah, something like that, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Whatever hits that 2-year window, that's doable.
So it's possible 2 years from now we would have a tank.
Well, yeah.
That seems a long ways out. That's about as
Maybe
fast
3
as it
years.
moves. It
Mhm.
doesn't move.
If we had a tank sitting there in 2 years, that would be.
Yeah, it
Oh.
doesn't move that much faster, and that's, PLC, that was a little easier, but even the contact tank, that took us almost 2 years to, so this project take, it's terrible the way it is.
Yep.
So does this require I'm forgetting my ignorance, for the storage tank, does it require making landing for it?
It's like the first part of the grant is planning and engineering that will include doing an assessment of a couple sites that have been pre-identified as possibilities, and then, doing cost benefit analyses. And it's,
This will be as big as the tank on Coast Guard Hill, right?
No,
No.
not necessarily.
Oh, how big is that one?
That one's 1 million gallons. This one I think is 500 is what we're shooting for.
Oh, a half a mil.
Still,
No, but remember that every foot of that tank is 33,000 gallons of water. So that 500,000 gallons is 8 feet in that tank, or it's more than we're pumping every day. So it was just like, oh, cool, I have 2 days worth of pumping right there, and I don't have to worry about what the impound's doing or what we have going on.
how muddy the creek is.
Mhm.
and we had to right size the project to get this grant, kind of like we had to do with the community building grant. The amount of money is for a certain amount, and if we get it right to that amount, then we can get the grant without a match. So that's kind of what we
Oh,
aim to
right,
do,
right, right.
or with
Well,
this
and
limited
it's
always
match,
these
limited
hurdles.
match.
Uh-huh.
Well, in my opinion, a tank, regardless of the future, it doesn't mean that you can't use that for a freshwater tank or something in the future or anything like that.
Right.
It's almost that other water source or that well that we've been looking for. It's not as great, but it is, once you get it full, what we're looking for. So with that, I think I'm going to ask for a motion to enter executive session under ORS 192-6602A and 7DD to consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent.
So moved.
Brief recess.
Second.
After a brief.
So I can fix this.
Okay. Okay. And then, so we got a motion in a second. I'll call for the vote. Perry,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Tim?
Jim, yes.
Okay, so Joseph's gonna do some technical stuff and then we will go into that shortly as soon as I get the okay from Joseph.